Hello everyone, this is Martina, holistic nutritionist, and today we are going to talk about how to be healthy, how to remain healthy in the winter time, in the winter season. So now we are in October here in the Northern Hemisphere. The summer is gone, long gone to some extent, and I see around already people walking with the flu and getting ill, getting unwell. And we are only in October. The winter is not here yet, quite. And so I thought I will be jumping on and talking a little bit how to keep healthy, how to remain healthy, avoid flus, avoid inflammation during the winter month when we are more prone, perhaps, to this kind of diseases. So that's what's going to talk about today. Now, when we talk about being healthy or being unwell, having the flu, having sore throat, having inflammation in the breathing ways or sinuses, it all points out and comes down to the weakened immune system. Always. I mean, we all are facing bacteria and viruses pretty much non-stop every single day during the course of our day. And it doesn't mean that we necessarily need to get sick. It all comes down to how strong our immune system is and how able it is to be able to fight these pathogens and these microbes which we are encountering. And so there are only two things which we need to pay attention if we want to remain healthy, and that is keep our immune system strong and reduce the inflammation factors in our body. And so how do we go about it? Now, immune system, we all know that 75% of our immunity is in the gut, and that is quite a substantial amount. Now, gut is a part of the digestive system, and the main role of the gut, of the intestine, is to break down the food and feed the micronutrients into the remaining of the body through putting it down to the bloodstream. And so the food and the nutrition would be the first thing which we need to pay attention, especially during the winter month when we do not have availability of the fresh produce, exactly as we did have in the July or in August, or even in September to some extent. And the food in the winter plays especially crucial role when we want to remain away from any diseases. Now, when I say that the immune system is to 70% in the gut, what does that mean? It means that since it does break the food, we need to feed the gut and feed the microbiome with the proper food, so it can maintain and it can keep the proper balance of the healthy and of the unhealthy bacteria, which we all have. It's just about the balance and the proper ratio that we don't want to have the unhealthy bacteria win over, quote unquote, the healthy ones. And so that's what we need to do and address with appropriate nutrition. And the appropriate nutrition will be the food filled with prebiotics and probiotics. And so in order to keep our microbiome healthy, we do know the probiotics are extremely important, but equally important are the prebiotics. And prebiotics are the foods that are feeding the healthy bacteria. If we are not feeding the healthy bacteria in our gut, they do not have, or they lose the ability to get stronger or to multiply and grow in comparison to the unhealthy gut bacteria. And that is exactly what happens when we get sick. And so what are the prebiotics food which we need to pay attention and to eat in the great abundance and the great amount in the winter in particular? You want to think of all fibrous food, like mushrooms, cabbage, onion, leeks, garlics, eggplants, dandelions, which we do not have now available in the fresh, endive, radishes, artichokes, as well as chicories. These high fibers, to some extent also bitter food, cruciferous vegetables, you definitely want to include regularly, at least once a day, for lunch or for the dinner into your meal plans. Equally to vegetables as well, fruits. Some fruits do contain prebiotic attributes, or do have prebiotic attributes. That would be grapefruit, that would be pomegranate, that would be apple, nectarines as well. Yeah, dried fruits like figs or dates, they do have some prebiotics nature as well, and bananas, I guess, too, and apples. Not sure if I mentioned those ones. And the third one would be the legumes, very important part of the protein, as well of slowly digestible starches. And from the legumes, white beans, kidney beans, chickpeas, and lentils in particular are quite good suitable prebiotic food to feed a healthy microbiome. And the fourth area or group would be the whole grains, but not all whole grains. And you want to make sure to have high quality organic grains such as rye, or barley, whole wheat only, and that in particular organic, oats, flaxseed as well, and couscous. Couscous. Those will be the fourth group which you want to include, and rather have barley instead of rice, rather have whole wheat or spelt instead of potatoes, for example. And that would be the good way to feed the microbiome. So this is the prebiotic group to feed the probiotics, which is the healthy bacteria. Now, the healthy bacteria and the probiotics can be also naturally found in the food, and in particular in fermented food. But not all fermented food has the probiotic attributes. So the most common, most known is kimchi and the sauerkraut, but these need to be only fresh from the cool area of your store. Do not buy if it's not fresh, if it's not cooled. Do not buy that kind of stuff. It does not have any probiotic attribute. It does not contain any lactobacilli. It does not contain any bifidobacteria. It's wasting your money only if it's fresh. And if you cannot find it fresh, because it's not every country and everywhere available, it's better to make it at home. From cabbage, for example, sauerkraut, it's very easy to make. It just takes time until it ferments for about 2 weeks, depends on how much you make. But it's better to make it at home and healthier than to buy something which is not cooled and you are not really sure that this is fresh kimchi or fresh sauerkraut from good source. So only fresh. This is the most ultimate rule which you need to follow while focusing on these two foods as a probiotic. The another ones would be natto, would be also kombucha, kefir, and good quality yogurt, and the same counts also for kefir. That would be from the dairy area, good probiotics, as well as miso paste. So when I say that not all fermented foods do possess probiotic attributes or qualities, these would be, for example, soy sauce or wine. These all two belong to fermented foods, but definitely do not belong to the probiotic part. They do not possess any lactobacilli or bifidobacteria, which are the most important ones for our microbiome, as a part of a microbiome. So this would be the first thing and the first foods group which we need to pay attention to eat in abundance and eat regularly and every day in order to feed our microbiome and in order to be healthy and keep away from any illnesses or flus during the winter. Now, the second one as I have mentioned, would be the inflammatory markers to be kept on the low level. Now, what does that mean exactly? Certain foods do stimulate the inflammation in our body through the fact they do create the acidic environment once we digest the food. Once the food goes through the entire GI tract, it's just digested, the metabolites are being either absorbed or not, depends on. And the metabolites of the waste, it's either creating the alkaline environment or it's creating acidic environment. The higher acidity in the body, meaning the higher acidic creating food we eat, the higher cause or probability, the higher probability for some sort of inflammation, be it sore, throat sore, be it ears, or whatever inflammation we are talking about. Now, I'm talking here about acute inflammation, not really the chronic inflammations, even though these foods do also contribute one way or the other for the chronic inflammation, such as arthritis, for example. But now I'm talking just about a very acute inflammation, like the sore throat when you have the flu or the ear infection during the winter season, all these kind of sorts. So what are the acidic creating foods? Majority of the animal products, particularly dairy, milk, cheese, low quality yogurts, even though yogurts as such, but if we pay attention to the good quality of yogurt, plain one, Greek one, they do have the probiotic attributes, whereas the sugary, sweetened yogurts, they do not. I mean, it's just the sugar. And dairy is the major contributor to the acidity created in the body, along with sugar. And sugar, I say sweets like cookies, candies, chocolates, even like pastries, even breads, white flour, white rice is also contributing to acidity in the body, rather in comparison to the whole grains, even the whole grains too, to some extent. But the whole grains do possess also micronutrients in a much higher level than the white flour or the white bread, white rice, where it's all bleached through any micronutrients and it's just the carbs. That's all that is. There is no vitamins, no minerals in there any longer. And so that is the benefit of the whole grains in comparison to the blonde, to the bleached white flour or rice. And so the sugar in any form, and that would be including the honey too, or that kind of sort of sugar which are considered to be healthy, which they are not, such as agave syrup or maple syrup. That's still sugar in quite concentrated form. And if we are inflamed, or if we want to avoid inflammation, and we do want to have sweetened, for example, tea, then we should use organic raw honey only as the ultimate sweetener and avoid any agave syrups or the corn syrups or any of that sort. I mean, it's still concentrated glucose, which is creating acidity in the body and increasing our insulin levels. I mean, that's how it is. And so that is the second common one which needs to be paid attention to. The third one would be processed food of any sort. Processed food of any sort, fried food of any sort, and the meat. Meat and all animal products, as I have said in particular, are, along with sugar, are the great contributor to the acid environment. And if we do not balance this kind of acid foods with alkaline one, which is the leafy greens, which is the cruciferous vegetables, nightshades, probiotic foods, whole grains, for example, fruits, then we increase the inflammation markers. And when the pathogens come to the body, then we are not able to fight it, and that's when we get sick. And so When we are unfortunately ill already, and we have the flu, and we take the antibiotics, and that is sometimes unavoidable, then we want to pay attention to really keeping the animal produce on the very low level, and in ideal way we remove it completely during the entire antibiotic cure, and also after the post healing, for example, when we recover and we do not have to take the antibiotics anymore. We just want to keep the animal protein, meat, and dairy on a very low level, so our microbiome, which has been so depleted and to a great extent killed through the antibiotics, gets the ability to recover and to repopulate. And we want to eat probiotics too, even though we take the antibiotics, and even though the majority of the probiotics is getting killed when we take the antibiotics, but not all of them, some will still survive. And so even during the antibiotic cure, when we have to take the antibiotics, we want to pay attention, then we keep alkaline foods high, low in animal foods and animal protein, very low or non-sugar, and high in probiotic. Whether you take it in the pharmaceutical quality that is highly concentrated, along with the natural probiotics such as sauerkraut or kimchi or kefir or what have you, the combination would be most probably most beneficial during the antibiotics. But that's what you have to pay attention for us to recover and repopulate the microbiome and the fastest and possible the best way. And so keep the microbiome healthy, keep the alkaline food high, and keep the inflammatory factors through avoiding sugar, significantly reducing animal products, as well as alcohol and smoking. Then it would be the best way how can we get through the winter in the healthiest and without any disease. And if we have to take the antibiotics, unfortunately, then please take the probiotics simultaneously as well as after your probiotic cure has finished, in order to repopulate and redistribute and strengthen the immune system as well. And you want to keep doing the diet not only during the antibiotic cure, but also at least 2 weeks after that, so the organism and the body and the microbiome can get a chance to recover and repopulate in the areas which we need to, so we do not get unwell again. And so, yeah, that would be most probably the best foods which we want to either eat or avoid, and the best approach to go through the winter. It's rather easy. It's not difficult. We just need to pay attention to what we eat. It always comes down to the gut. I always say it's all in the gut. We just have to pay attention, how do we feed our gut in order to stay healthy and to stay well. And so I wish you healthy winter. I wish you flu-less and disease-less months. And so I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for being here, and bye now.